Good day, everyone. I'm here today with Annette Carroll. She's Director of Marketing for Okuma Americas. Uh, Okuma Americas is a high-end manufacturer of machine tools, highly regarded in their industry. So, Annette, thank you so much. Tell us a little bit first about Okuma.
Yeah, thank you, Lynn. So, as you mentioned, Okuma is a global manufacturing company. We manufacture CNC metal cutting machine tools. And more recently, our product portfolio has evolved to include other types of manufacturing systems, such as automation components, family of robotics, and other types of manufacturing automated systems that could serve either in a manufacturing cell or in full production lines for larger companies. And that's really a planned evolution for the company, because we want to provide systems and solutions that, meet the moment for other manufacturers of today and then of the future. And so broadening the portfolio, broadening our services. Okuma goes to market currently through distributors. So we go to market through channel partnerships. And we here in the Americas believe that we have the best network in the region. And so those distributors add value to our overall offering by providing local service and support capabilities, which is backed by Okuma's world-class service and support facility or offering. And as a matter of fact, we're getting ready to open a new global service and repair facility here in the Charlotte area to service not only customers in the Americas, but around the world. So over 100-year-old company, a lot of trust from our customers. Here in the Americas, our mission is we passionately pursue a customer for life. And I think our conversation and the topic today will sort of lean into that and prove that out.
Good. Thank you. And I believe, if I'm correct, that Okuma got its start many, many years ago as a maker of machines to make noodles.
That's exactly right. Our founder was, looking for some spare parts for equipment to make noodles, and he couldn't find it. And so he started making his own equipment, to make pasta and things to service the local market there in Japan. And so from that, those early days, we've evolved into this now global enterprise company with a full line offering for these machine tools that service pretty much any industry that's manufacturing a part of some sort. So but the early days back in the late 1800s, those are some of our early roots.
We have had the pleasure working with Okuma 14 years. In fact, February 17th is the anniversary date according to when you were on our system. So what are some of the key things you've learned from your customers over that period of time?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so, one of the ways that we've worked together with the Daniel Group is something called the Net Promoter Score. And the Daniel Group has taken an opportunity to reach out to some of our customers to determine what their experience was from the point of, purchasing an Okuma product, really through the service component of getting the product on the floor, getting it installed, and then, initial operability of the equipment. And so through that process, through that surveying and the Net Promoter Score process, we've gotten some very keen understandings about what's important to our customer base. They like timely responses. They like responsive vendors and partners, in their business. They want to know that There's a strong service and support component to back up the investment that they've made in our products. And really, those are things through those key learnings. Those are just some of them, not all of them, but those are things that are important to them. And we want to answer that call, both from Okuma and the distributors that we partner with to provide that first level of support.
Tell me a little bit about in what ways have you changed your approach to customers because of the feedback? How has that informed and caused you to change certain things about the way you go about dealing with your customers?
Exactly. And, one other thing I should mention as I get into this topic is we've also learned customers like the idea of having information available to them in easily accessible ways. So
So this could be technical information, most any kind of information.
it could be most any kinds of information. So that'll play into answering your latest question. So after we're receiving, this feedback, some of the things that have transpired at Okuma, first and foremost, is that we've tightened up our quality standards. We have a very stringent quality metrics, particularly on software, the way that our machine controls are operating, are performing, and the technical part of the machine as well, right? The components, the spindles, et cetera, they're running. And so we have some very stringent quality metrics that have been tightened over the years because we understand and heard feedback that our customers, quality in the operation of our equipment is table stakes, essentially. Customers expect that. That's the way we've marketed ourselves. That's the way our products are built, and they're just expected to work in high performance applications. Even with that, we've tightened our own measurements on what's acceptable from a quality standpoint. Additionally, on occasions where there are customer concerns, we've instituted teams internally that meet weekly to discuss and come up with solutions to address customer complaints and issues. And so that again, they meet weekly. They're going case by case, customer by customer to understand exactly what the desired customer, happy or offer an acceptable solution. And then that is made possible.
Okay, good. So, and I came to appreciate some of the quality Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was also going to say, in general, speaking back to the concept of having available information, the selling process and the servicing process has changed and evolved over time as digital technologies have evolved, right?
Yes.
So now the selling process, we have more information as consumers than we ever have before to conduct some of that pre-selling process and research on our own. And so bringing that into from a marketing standpoint and selling standpoint, that means making sure that our information is up to date and more readily available through online channels than ever before. So no longer is it just acceptable, although it's, demanded that companies, have websites and things of this nature. There also need to be other presences online, such as in YouTube's a good example, video content that tell customers how to optimize the use of their machine tool purchase, how to, engage certain types of materials they might be cutting, overviews of products. We're very visual now with the onset of, social media, YouTube, things of that nature. Participating in online forums where people might have questions, about the technical capabilities of the products or service. And so it's very important that we have a presence in all of the appropriate channels to meet those customers and prospects where they're searching and seeking, for machine tool needs and service needs for our products.
Fascinating. So really the way you deliver this content has greatly expanded over the years at the request of your customers.
Exactly.
Now, you work through distributors. These are all independent companies. How has your distributor network used this feedback to improve what they're doing?
Exactly. And so we talked about the Net Promoter Score concept. And so we utilize that to measure the performance of our distributors. How well are they taking care of our end customers, taking care of their service needs, things of this nature. And so we are actually through those customer surveys, the customers, and we are scoring, how our distributors are responding and caring, for those end customers. And so each year we actually we have a meeting with our distributor service teams, and we share the results of these Net Promoter Score findings. And we break those findings down based on each distributorship. What are customers saying about their service and support? And then we offer a prize, to the distributor network or group that is offering the best service. So there's a recognition of, the top performer, and it's really a group that's then made an example of as a positive way to engage and interact with customers. Each of these distributorships is also given the feedback, from the composites of the Net Promoter Score, so they can see what customers are saying in a variety of categories. And so then the request is they take that information and work to improve on areas that maybe weren't as stellar as we had hoped or they had hoped. And then they celebrate, we celebrate together areas that were really seen as a strong force in the marketplace for customer care. So definitely an annual review of the Net Promoter Score with each distributor team, and celebrations and highlights of areas of opportunity.
Good. Thinking back over the last few years, what have been some of the more challenging obstacles to get people to respond to the feedback, to get them to really change maybe the way they approach the customers?
So, I would say, well, COVID was quite a challenge for us. And then, coming out of COVID first, having customers allow people back into their facilities was one, right? And we sell, a capital goods piece of equipment that needs, attention, things of this nature. So that, getting past that hurdle, which at this point, I think we're past that. Secondarily, feedback, particularly if it isn't, the most positive, can be difficult to ingest, for anyone, but, from a distributorship standpoint as well. I would say timeliness of response has been challenging, but not because of lack of effort, but because of, evolution of the workforce. There have been some challenges in having people enticed and hiring into the manufacturing industry. We're generally challenged, not just in, service and support areas, but generally we're challenged overall, with finding good talent, the right talent to bring on board and service us. And so to a degree, that has helped to catapult the automation sector of our business, using technology in many instances where there's been a void in human resource. So,
Yeah.
response times, it's critical to customers. If we're in a depressed state of not having enough resource power, human resource power, then that can create a challenge. Some other, proactive things we've put into place to address some of those things are, simple, creating preventive care kits for our equipment. So instead of having the customer, it's a time where maybe the machine needs servicing, but the operator, somewhat not interested in slowing down the process, well, eventually, there's going to be some problem. And so we've been proactive in creating some tools and kits to sell alongside the machines to mitigate, some of those challenges, operational challenges of the equipment as well. And also lessen the need for a service representative to come in, on site if the end customer can already have some of those kits and equipment directly at their disposal.
And for one last question, where do you see your CX program going in the future? Right now you're doing phone calls only, but we have a variety of new digital feedback means. How do you see it evolving into the future?
Exactly. And so, with social media, the customer experience, it's very visible. People take the opportunity, right, to give us their on-demand feedback, as to how our products are performing, how service is performing, and all of that is very visible. So I would say, we have become as a society attuned to offering, very timely feedback, ratings, things of this nature, and that's happening. Additionally, though, some things that we're working toward are more of that self-service capability. Many of us want to be online. We want to find our own answers. Sometimes even circumventing, the human, a human intervention if necessary. We want information when we want it. So we're looking at creating customer portal, which would have information specific to a particular customer's equipment, serial number information, parts that they need, they could order, and that would fall into an e-commerce scenario. And so really, really leaning into digital tools that can make, the customer experience more efficient, faster, things of this nature.
Good. Annette, thank you so much for your comments today. When I first met the folks at Okuma, I was intrigued by what you do, and I continue to be. I continue to love going to some of your open houses that you have, because there's always a fascinating amount of equipment, especially the time I saw them making the Darth Vader mask. I thought that was fascinating. But anyway, thanks again. I really do appreciate your time and the opportunity to be of service to you.
Thank you so much. We enjoy working with you all, Lynn and the Daniel Group, and look forward to continuing our relationship.
Thank you.